and the leadership that Pope Francis really singularly across the globe has been exercising. Laudato Si is the clarion call for us to put aside all of our differences, no matter how you vote, no matter what you look like, no matter what language you speak or where you were born. This is the moral, the spiritual call for all of us to remember our connection to each other and to this great planet and the Creator who made all of this possible. As a mom, and especially now, bringing new life into the world, not only do I feel an immense sense of urgency, seeing just in a flash how quickly you go from 8 pounds to over 14 pounds in just a short period of time, how quickly it seems like just yesterday that my 2 boys were in this stage and now are little human beings and full of the questions and wonder of the world. That urgency that we must do better now in a very challenging time. It also reminds me of that wonder, the delight in the eyes of a child that reminds us of how we're connected, first and foremost, to each other and to the natural world around us. Seeing kids playing in a snowstorm, watching a baby experience a bright sunny day for the first time, or the memories of bringing little ones to dip their feet in the waters of the ocean for the very first time. All of these moments are just as important as the scientific backing for why we need to move on climate change. The natural world around us, the moments that bring us the greatest joy and feeling of connection to God, often are connected to that special place in nature. The view from the mountaintop, the feeling of being a natural vista that just opens up something inside of ourselves, reminding us of our place in a much, much larger plan. And holding on to that, remembering that we are taking action for climate, not just to avoid harm, not just to make sure that emissions levels reach certain percentages, all of which is incredibly critical, but most of all because this is about our fundamental humanity and spirituality. That is what I so appreciate about the Archdiocese picking up on the Pope's call for this to be our conversation. Boston, our mission every day in city government is to make our city a home for everyone. I did have the chance to go to Washington and emphasize that. Our community wanted their elected representatives at the national level to know. And so prior to going to DC, I spent a lot of time meeting with different groups, immigrants from various parts of the world who made their home now in East Boston or Mattapan, with faith leaders who have been shepherding and feeling so much of the fear of their congregations and their community members. And I gathered all of that to try to package together and present. And then, so the hearing was March 5th. Interestingly, for those who have had a baby, you might also have experienced that as soon as you have a baby, you schedule the appointment for the doctor for your 6-week checkup, where they sign off that you're ready to go back to work and you're healthy. That was March 6th, so I think I went to the doctor. But the Sunday before March 5th, at Mass, what all Catholics heard was Matthew chapter 7, verse 3-5. The words about making sure to remove the wooden beam from your own eye before looking at the speck of wood in your brother's eye. And so those were the words headed down to Congress, that there's a lot of finger pointing in this world right now. There's a lot of blame casting, a lot of othering. And some of this, much of this, in many cases, is being done in the name of some claim to religious authority. But if you go back to the actual words that we hear every Sunday, if you go back to the call that is coming from our leaders in the Catholic Church today, fundamentally, that is what gave me the strength to feel such clarity in what we need to communicate for our community here and to the nation and the world, that we all have to do our part. Before we try to point a finger at someone else, in Chinese, and my parents would tell me all the time, 一直指别人，四指指自己, which means when you point one finger at someone else, 4 fingers are pointing back at yourself. And so for parents, that's a handy line I'm keeping in mind for as my kids grow older. But it's also a call for the city of Boston to do everything we possibly can. Yes, there's a lot that we could be casting blame on, and there's a lot that is fundamentally changing how hard it is for us as a local community at the municipal level to do the things that we want to do and need to do. But as we advocate and as we share publicly how the context that it's changed, it is still important, most of all, to point the finger to ourselves, to look in our own eyes, and to hold ourselves accountable for what we need to do. So a little bit